What's up guys, welcome back to my channel. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Destiny, and if you're a returning subscriber, welcome back to the family. You guys know the deal. I'm actually back this week with another sugar related video. I know it's been a while, but I've been trying to figure out how I want to curate this series. So this is going to be Sugaring 101 episode 3, and that is how to use soft wax with strips. So I know a lot of you guys have had problems with trying to make your own sugar wax at home. I try my best to explain to you guys in that video how I do it myself at home. So sometimes I also mess up my wax, and honestly it's totally normal and it's common. A lot of things can happen and make your wax not come out the way you want to. So in those cases, you don't want to throw out the wax, right? So I have an example here of a batch that I thought I cooked to the right temperature, but it actually still was too runny and not that easy to use. So I'm going to use strips with it today and wax my underarms, and I'm going to take you guys through that process. So if you ran into a few problems with making your own sugar wax at home with my previous video, this one can help you out. All you need is some muslin strips. I got these at my local beauty supply, but honestly you don't need to use muslin strips. You can use a cotton t-shirt and just cut it up into strips and then wash it and reuse it. So this is a really easy and safe way to get rid of the wax you thought wasn't good enough. So if you want to figure out how to do that, just keep on watching this video and let's get right on into it. So I'm gonna start with letting you guys know that before you start doing anything, you want to make sure that you're prepping your skin properly. So you want to make sure that before you start waxing, you have exfoliated the skin at least 2 to 3 days before you wax it, and you're working on clean skin. So I have an example, and I grew out my underarms just for this video, and my skin is clean, and I'm gonna put some cornstarch on it just to make sure that there's no type of sweat or debris that will prevent the sugar wax from really getting in there. So I'm going to start with that and take you guys through the process on how I do it. I also forgot one of the supplies, and this is optional. I'm going to use like a popsicle stick just to apply the wax because I don't want to make this too messy. I want to make sure that I'm making the cleanest strips possible so I can show you guys. But you don't necessarily need this. You can definitely use your hands. Just make sure that you're washing them between and they are clean. So let's just start out with putting some cornstarch on my underarm. I'm just putting it on the back of my hand so that it's not that messy. And I have a mirror right next to me, so if I'm looking to the side, that's what I'm doing. I'm just trying to make sure that I get it on camera so you guys can see exactly what I'm doing. I have uploaded an underarm sugar wax video on my channel already, so I'll leave it up in the info cards above if you want to learn how to do that without strips, like just regular sugar wax. So I have that up, but this is going to be an example on how to use it with strips for those of you who have run into problems with making the sugar wax. So it's definitely usable, and I'm gonna show you, baby. Let me open this up before I get sugar wax on my underarm and not have any of this stuff open and regret it. Let me just take one strip out because honestly you can use one strip for quite a few pieces of skin. At least for me, I don't grow way too much hair on my underarms, and I feel like my left underarm is a perfect example because if I get up close, my underarm hair is growing downwards here and is growing upwards here. So I'm going to be placing the sugar wax in the direction of the hair growth, applying the strip, and then ripping it off, and then doing the opposite way for this side that's growing upwards, and then I'm going to apply the strip and then rip it. So let's get into it. Sometimes the muslin strips have like a little bit of lint still caught onto them. I like to just dust that off because I feel like it's annoying, and why is it there? You know what I'm saying? So I'm going to open up my sugar wax, and my sugar wax is looking like this right now. She looks really dark. She's in a clear container, and you guys love the pull. Wow! So we're gonna go with the pull. So I'm just gonna take a little bit of it and twirl it like a lollipop. This honestly might be too much for my just bottom half of my underarm, so I'm going to take a little bit off. And then bring it back on my stick. Honestly, it's looking a little bit better than it did yesterday, so I can use this on my underarms right now regularly, but for the sake of this video.
That's all y'all need.
So my hair is growing downwards, so I'm going to go in the direction of the hair growth. And I'm applying quite a few times just to make sure that it really gets in there. And I still did use too much. With soft wax, you want to make sure that it's a pretty thin layer because you don't want it to be too thick and the muslin strip doesn't really attach to that hair. So from there, I'm just going to put the muslin strip on. Kind of rub it in. I'm gonna hold my skin taut and pull. So far I got this much off. I did apply just a little bit too much, so it didn't lift all the way, but it still got a bit. So with just that first strip, I got most of it off on the bottom here. So I'm just gonna wipe this down, apply a thinner layer, and then get the top half, since this was a little bit too thick to get all of it off. I wiped it down just a little bit, not the very inner part, because we're gonna need to put sugar back there anyway, and I want the least amount of moisture around that area as possible. But I'm glad I put a little bit too much on that first strip, so that if this happens to you guys, you know what to do to make sure that you get it all off. I'm gonna get another popsicle stick, and we're going up this time. Very thin. Rub it on in the direction of the hair growth, and it might get a little bit tricky if you're doing it by yourself, but as long as you move slow like I am, you'll be all good. And don't be discouraged if it feels sticky. It's sugar, so girl, it's gonna be sticky. And if you get stuck, you can always wash it off. Just be very gentle. Don't try to move in too big of a strip, especially if you have thick, coarse hair. You want to make sure you're moving pretty slow just to ensure that those strips are clean and you have the result that you want. So from here, rip down. Perfect. That was a perfect one. And there is the hair. So perfect results. You still get the hair out. Just use a strip if you find that your sugar wax comes out a little bit too soft for your liking. And I'm going to use the top half of it just to try and get the excess and get this middle half. And if you want to, you can always warm up the wax a little bit, like in the microwave, for at least 30 seconds. You don't want it too hot because you do not want to burn yourself. Make sure you're doing a test strip before you put it on your body. I made this wax already and I have tried it out on myself, so I know it works for me. But make sure that when you are doing it, doing test strips really ensures that you're working safely. Perfect. And since I started sugar waxing my hairs, if you guys notice, the hairs are there, but they're not that thick. If I showed my underarms before sugar waxing, this is totally a different result. But you guys see that the hairs are coming out from the root, which is exactly what we want. And that makes sure that those hairs grow out the way that they're supposed to. They're not broken, they're not going to cause any ingrown hairs. So I'm going to take my popsicle stick, a very small amount. Nice. And there are a few stragglers left over, but honestly, I tweezed those out because more than 3 strips aggravates your skin. But honestly, compared to the before, not too bad. Before I move on to the next one, I'm going to put some Aftercare on my freshly waxed underarm just to make sure that no bumps or breakouts happen. If you want to go the natural route, you can use a tea tree and jojoba mix that I usually recommend in my sugaring videos. I also have recommended fur oil a lot in my previous videos as well. Those are filled with natural oils, and I have their natural ingrown hair concentrate here with me. And I use this after a wax and literally every day after my wax. Once I get out the shower, I just open it up and you just fill the little dropper and I put it on my underarms, like 2 drops. And then I just rub it in. And this is so soothing, it's not irritating, it's great for sensitive skin. And it really does help prevent any type of ingrown hairs, which I get quite a bit of since I have thick hair. Hello, do you see my 2 big ass buns today? But let's move on to the next one. I have my Aftercare on this underarm, and let's move on to the next. Got my sugar wax on my stick, and my hairs are growing upwards here on the top, so I'm gonna go in that direction first. Rub it in. It might be a little bit more difficult with your non-dominant hand, but honestly, I just try to use my thumb and it all works out as long as I'm patient. And pull. Okay, just a couple stragglers right here and on the top. I'm gonna put my ingrown concentrate on, and then I'm gonna tweeze and show you guys the final results. Okay, we're done. Let me zoom you in. And here are our final results. Honestly, guys, not too freaking shabby. If I'm being really honest with you guys, I forgot to take a before shot, but luckily I showed you guys one arm done and one arm not done, so you guys have that before and after from earlier before. I could just cut to that really quick so you can see it. And yeah, this is what I end up with. Nicely, freshly waxed underarms, and it was honestly so easy. In my opinion, not as easy as just getting the hard wax done right the first time, but for a batch that I couldn't physically use comfortably, the strips does the job. And remember, only 3 strips. If it doesn't come out after 3 strips, you can try and tweeze the stragglers that are left. And remember that if you do not wax regularly, not all the hairs will come out. You might have some type of hair that is not long enough because they're on different growth cycles. You can check through the rest of my sugaring playlist so that you can learn more in depth about that. But essentially, this video was to show you guys what you can do with your wax that you thought wasn't good enough. So if you guys found this helpful, feel free to give this video a thumbs up, and if you haven't already, please consider subscribing to my channel. It definitely helps me out to continue to make content for you guys. And while you're at it, make sure that you hit that little notification bell so that you're notified every single time I post a new video. If you guys have any questions, comments, or concerns, feel free to leave them down in the comment section. And of course, I will be linking everything in the description box below. I love you guys so much, and I'll see you guys next week in the next video. Bye.